One day, some important people came to visit the Sodor Railway. Toby was to show them the sights in a special coach. At Abbey Station, they met Thomas, who was taking trucks. "Who are they?" asked Thomas. "There are some important people from England that have come to visit the Sodor Museum," Toby explained. "The Fat Controller said they've come from the National Railway Museum at a place called York." Thomas was impressed. "You'd certainly go a treat down there, Toby," he thought. "You'd do the Sodor Railway proud. A museum would be great for an engine like yourself." "Don't be cheeky," replied Toby. "I may be old, but I'm still in good working service." Thomas was only teasing. "Come on, Thomas," said his driver. "Really useful engines are really busy ones." "Goodbye, Toby," called Thomas and puffed away. Later, Toby took the important visitors to Knapford. While there, he met James.
"Oh, look,"
James joked.
"it's all little Toby. Have those visitors come to take you away?"
"No, they haven't," replied Toby. "They're from the National Railway Museum at a place called York in England." Then his driver spoke to him after talking with the visitors. "Toby, old boy," said his driver, "I've spoken to the visitors who have just spoken to the Fat Controller, and they say that we're to go with them to their National Railway Museum in York."
"See, I told you," James chuckled. "They have come to take you away. You're going to be a museum piece. Ha ha ha."
James then puffed away with his train. But now Toby was worried, until his driver started to laugh. "Don't worry, Toby," soothed his driver. "James was only teasing. The visitors won't put you in their sheds to rot."
"I don't believe it," muttered Gordon furiously in the shed that night. "What's Toby got that an important engine like me hasn't? Tell me that! Gallivanting off to museums. Pah!"
"He is old enough," said James. "If the Fat Controller says he can be a museum piece, why should we worry?"
"It's not fair, though," grumbled Henry. For a chance like this, he wouldn't have minded being a museum piece himself. The jealous engines all ignored Toby whenever they saw him. But Thomas and Percy didn't care. They were excited for their friend.
"Wow, Toby,"
cried Percy.
"Fancy the National Railway Museum people at... where is it again?"
"York," replied Thomas.
"York wanting you to go there,"
said Percy. "But they've never even seen me," cried Toby.
"Yes, they have," said Percy. "On television, so the Fat Controller says."
"And don't forget, they've read about you in the books written about us by someone called the Thin Clergyman and his son," Thomas added. "And who knows, maybe some of the people there saw you on your old line in East Anglia." He and Percy wanted to go with Toby, but they knew someone had to stay and run the branch line while he was away. "How much longer till we go?" Toby asked his driver every morning. "One day less than when you asked before," laughed his driver. "Anyone would think you wanted to be a museum piece, old boy." Toby grinned. "Gordon, Henry, and James are just jealous," he chuckled. "Who else is at this museum?" "We shall just have to wait and see," said the driver. "I'll be very surprised if there isn't someone there you can remember from the old days." That, of course, made Toby excited, but deep down, there were doubts that he would be there permanently after what James had previously said. The day before Toby was due to leave, there was a problem. Some new diesel fuel had made all the diesels pop out once again, and none of them could work. When Toby arrived at Tidmouth Sheds, the Fat Controller had just made his briefing. "Toby, it's going to be a busy day for you today," he said. "Since Salty was due to collect flour from the mill and take it to the docks, you'll have to do it." "Yes, sir," replied Toby. "Then I want you to go to the coal plant to deliver coal to all the bunkers around Sodor, while James heads for the smelters to collect some steel iron," added the Fat Controller. "Then I want you to do Mavis's work at the quarry with Bill and Ben." "All right, sir," said Toby. "And Emily," concluded the Fat Controller, "you will take Toby's passengers."
Yes, sir,
replied Emily. Toby then steamed off to the flour mill. Once he was coupled to his trucks of flour, he then set off to the harbor. Toby soon arrived, and then headed off to the coal plant. Once he shunted the trucks into place, he then headed off to make his delivery. Once he delivered his coal trucks, he was soon shunting trucks for Mavis with Bill and Ben at the quarry. It was dusty work, but Toby enjoyed the hustle and bustle. When he finished, he headed off to the water tower for a drink, but he was sent along the wrong line, which was blocked by a fallen rock on the track. "Ouch!" yelled Toby. His driver inspected the damage. "That's torn it," he said. "Your buffer beam has bent, and your cowcatcher is broken. I wouldn't be surprised if one of your axles or pistons were damaged in the process." Toby felt upset. The Fat Controller, who had just arrived, hurried over when he heard the yell. The driver told him the extent of the damage. "Well, Toby," said the Fat Controller, "you can't go to York like that. The repairs to you will not be done in time for tomorrow. I shall have to postpone your visit for another week." "I understand, sir," sighed Toby, "but I hope the people at York will understand." "Leave it to me," smiled the Fat Controller. "I'll see what can be done." And with that, Toby had to be content. Toby had to stay at the works for several days, but at last, his cowcatchers and axles were repaired, and his buffer beam was soon straightened. Then, he was polished until his driver could see his reflection. "You haven't looked so smart for years," his driver said. "I almost didn't recognize you." At last the day came when he was due to leave. The important visitors boarded the special coach that Toby had showed them around in. "Goodbye, Toby," said the Fat Controller. "Enjoy yourself and be a credit to our railway." "I will, sir," replied Toby, and with a toot of his bell, Toby set off. While he was there, he had enjoyed his time, but was glad to be going home. But before then, a party of important-looking people had arrived. One was the man in charge, and with him was the Fat Controller. "Oh dear," thought Toby. "They've decided to keep me as a museum piece after all. I guess James was right." But the Fat Controller was smiling. "Toby," the man in charge began, "your controller told us that you're the only tram engine in working service, and he also said that you have been a credit to his railway. He is right. The visitors who came to your railway on Sodor were pleased with the splendid run you gave them, and they were pleased about how hard you worked while the diesels were out of commission. Therefore, we have decided that you should become an honorary member of the National Railway Collection. Your controller has been given a special plate that will remind you of your visit to us. Ladies and gentlemen, 3 cheers for Toby the Tram Engine. Hip hip, hooray! Hip hip, hooray! Hip hip, hooray!" The noise echoed around the area. "Well done, Toby," smiled the Fat Controller. "I knew you would be a credit to our railway." Toby just smiled.